Hello, hello, hello. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to my podcast. This is Mandatory Conversations with Mike Johnson, and I am excited on tonight. I have a very good friend of mine and a frat brother, Mr. Wayne Porter, and I'm going to give him a second in a minute to talk about who he is and introduce himself. But before he does that, I want to actually talk about this man myself. So I met Wayne probably about 3 years ago now, just probably a little bit over 3 years ago we met. And it was interesting because we automatically hit it off. It's sometimes in life you'll have a connection with somebody and it doesn't take long. And for myself, I'm one of those type of people. I'm fairly guarded, so I don't readily take in a whole lot of new friends. So Wayne is probably the last friend I've taken in over these last few years. I don't know if Wayne is like this as well, but I'll let him talk about it because as men, and we'll get more into this, we're sometimes a lot guarded about who we are. And we have to be because there's certain things going on with us. And we just want to make sure that whoever we're inviting in our space is going to be respectful of that space. They're going to be understanding. One, and another thing, and probably the biggest thing to me is they're going to protect your space like you would protect their space. And so Wayne has been all of that. He's been a good friend. He's been a brother. He's been a big brother. He's been a mentor. He's been somebody who I lean to help in understanding some things and making sure and bouncing things off to making sure I'm not crazy. I haven't gone too far. I haven't gone too left, right or left. And he's just been good. He's a very good listener. And it's a lot more I could say about him, but I'm not because I don't want to take up the whole show just talking about him. But he's just that kind of guy. Wayne Porter, man, welcome to Mandatory Conversations. It is a pleasure, brother, to have you on.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm happy to be here, especially as your last friend you've taken in. I heard that comment. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yes, happy to be here, brother.
Yeah, man. So on tonight, we're going to talk about, Wayne, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, talk about who you are and that kind of good stuff. Or because I really want to give you the platform to talk first before I do, or before I talk.
Well, no, this is, like you said, mandatory conversations. We'll talk back and forth. And I am, as you said, Wayne Porter. I'm a Washington, D.C. native, actually born in the city in the neighborhood of Brightwood / Petworth over by Coolidge. And so that's a part of who I am for sure. Got married at 25. And so I've been married for 33 years to the same woman. Praise the Lord. And we have three sons, all adult sons. We have an oldest son is 30 and twins, identical twin boys who are 28. And so been a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated since the fall of 1986. Yo to the Noops. And it's also been a really special part of my life and who I am. I pledged when I was 19 years old. So most of my life I've been a Noop.
Nice. So I want to start the show this way. Wayne and I met through business initially. So I am also, as some of you may know, I'm a member of the Silver Fox Squad, but I also own my own haberdashery, JL Michaels Custom Clothiers, where we do custom design and custom clothing for men and women head to toe. And so on top of that, we have a retail space where we sell all other kinds of men's accessories, hats, jewelry, so forth and so on. And Wayne came in to see me. I believe, Wayne, it was about a hat initially, correct? Is that what it was about?
I think so. That sounds right.
Right. Yeah. So he came in to see me and we just started talking and we hit it off. And I think you were at the shop, Wayne, for about maybe 2 to 3 hours or something like that.
That's right.
It was such a great conversation. And here's what was interesting to me. And we're going to get into the show in a minute, but all of this plays a part. So Wayne and I are connected in so many different ways. And we found all these things out. So Wayne just mentioned to you, he has identical twins. Wayne actually has 3 children, 3 boys. He's married as well for, how long has it been?
33 years.
33 years. Wayne's beautiful wife, Kelly, he's been married for 33 years. I've been married to my wife, Stephanie, for 30 years. I also have identical twins. I have 3 daughters. And here's what's interesting about Wayne and I. Here's where we're connected in one of the multiple ways. His kids are the exact same age as mine, and they're all born right around the same time. He has boys, I have girls. Wayne's uncle, correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but this is Wayne's favorite uncle, correct?
He's the uncle who raised me. Yes.
The uncle who raised me.
Yeah, he's the uncle who raised me. That's right.
So Wayne, I'm sorry, say it again, Wayne.
My father's brother.
Your father's brother. And
Yes.
so Wayne's father's brother is friends with my dad. So one day I'm online and I see Porter, because that Wayne's last name is Porter. And I see it just comes up and says Porter wants to send you a friend request. I'm like, I know Wayne, I already got a friend named Porter on here. And so I saw it pop up, and it just so happens me and my dad were talking, and he was like, "Do you know this guy named Wayne Porter?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "That's a friend of mine. We grew up together in Southeast. We worked at the swimming pool together, and we, all of our friends about the same from Anacostia, and we did all these different things together." And I said, "Oh my God, how crazy is this that we have these things in common?" Wayne actually attended the high school I would have attended had I still stayed in DC, so I'm sure I would have ran into you. He went to Wilson High School, and I was slated to go to Wilson High School, but wound up moving to New Jersey. And Wayne is also, he and his wife are married couples. They are part of a married couples ministry, and they ran a married couples ministry for a while. I am also an ordained reverend. My wife and I did the exact same thing. So there's so many similarities. In addition to the last one, which is a big one as well, we're both members of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And just all of these different things brought us together. But what brought us together was great. But what was even greater was what made us friends. We hit it off so well. We just started talking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, learning more about each other. And then initially kind of hanging out. Wayne would come back by the shop, do other little things here and there. And then we just said, man, you know what? It's not enough that we just kind of hang out. Let's do a date night. And so our wives wind up becoming friends as well. And so it's just been this journey, and it was an easy one. And I didn't even realize it, but God had just given me another friend and big brother. And so I had to have Wayne on here to talk about this particular subject because it's really near and dear to me, and it's becoming even more, Wayne, more near and dear to me as I get older and I begin to look at the relationships that I have with other men. And I treasure these now because, it's something to have men that you could go to, Wayne, that you could talk to, that you could bounce stuff off of, that you can literally pour your heart out to and talk and have them listen to you and give you good wisdom, to give you good godly advice. And I look to you to do that. And you've never disappointed. You always do, brother.
Well, I think we've done that for one another. And that's one of the reasons why we have connected, because I firmly believe in this idea that the Bible talks about iron and sharpen iron. And that's what we've done from the very beginning. We just connected, and we weren't afraid to actually build each other up, because I think both of us are fairly secure with who we are and what we've achieved and where we're going. And so when you are secure in who you are, you don't have a problem welcoming other people in, especially someone who you believe that is going to actually help you get better and have fun together. And we're also born in the same month as well, as another data point connection.
That
and
is.
So we're similar, but we're also different enough that we also can challenge each other. And when we do challenge each other, there's never any disrespect or harm, because we realize that the idea is we are trying to make each other better. So we don't always agree, but we've had some good, healthy conversations over the last 3 years. And most of the time we do, but when we don't, we can still have those conversations and we're good, right? I think that's key to a friendship, definitely.
Yeah. So Wayne, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So first of all, tell me or explain to the audience, what does this idea of bonding time, mean to you or for you as a man with other men? Again, tonight's conversation, strong conversations make strong men, but that bonding time is what kind of brings all of this stuff together. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I think first of all, you get to be who you really are, because when you're bonding with other men, especially those, again, you're comfortable with, you don't necessarily have to be a husband in that moment. You don't have to be a father in that moment. You don't have to be the president of some company or wherever you're working your career. There's a moment when you're bonding with other guys, I guess, especially those who you're similar to, that just makes it something you look forward to, that you can chill and you can just be yourself. And so you can just relax even in that moment. And I do believe that helps with our health, because now we get that chance just to relax in who we are, because I tell you, all our nervous systems are being pressured right now. And so that bonding time, Mike, a couple of weeks ago, when we all got together, me, you, and a couple other brothers, I think I shared with you before, I had a really rough day at work.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I pressed through and really came and hung out with you guys, because I forgot that I was, I had issues at work, and I just was able to relax in the bond. And we talked about some great things, and we joked each other, and we kidded with one another, and we did the dozens like we all do, Jonah, as we say in DC. But all
Yeah.
that's always in good nature, right? It's always in good nature, because first of all, you realize that this person has my best interest, and so I don't get upset, not offended. You go with it and you enjoy it.
Yeah, and this was one of the reasons, Wayne, I wanted to bring you on because, and if we could for a second go back to what we did a couple of weeks ago, I realized in that moment that that's important for us as men. As you said, I had not realized you had a rough day, and I was certainly glad that you was there. I really was glad to see you and glad to have you there. And we talked about a plethora of different things in that, you and I had known each other, but our other two frat brothers, they had come along, they were there as well. I didn't really know them, but I got to know them. And what was interesting was, and this is what happens with men in this bonding time, and which is why it's needed. All of us had something on our minds that we really needed to get off our minds and off our chest. And it was a place that we could do that. Like we could just drop all of the titles, like you said, Wayne. We could just forget about who we were in that moment and just talk about what was going on with us, and then be able to say it and share it in a place where other men could receive it, but not just receive it. Some had experience, some didn't. And we talked about some things, man. And I grew from the conversation because it was just some things that I just didn't know. And I was challenged with. And Butch, I'll mention this, when he said to me, and Wayne, no one's ever said this to me, maybe thought it, but never said it to me. He said, Mike, you're not asking the right question.
Yes, he
I'm
did.
like, and he said it several times, Wayne, and it really made me think, wow. And when he said to me, he said, Mike, this is the question I think you're trying to ask. And I was like, that is the question I'm trying to ask. And when he said it, I was just like, it was like a light went off. It was just so profound. But I didn't feel crazy. I didn't feel ashamed. Right. I didn't feel embarrassed. Right. Because the way that he did it, it was done in love. He was like, Mike, you are on to something, but you need to ask more critical questions. And I think this is a question that you really need to ask. You need to ask this because this is what's going on. And then you probably remember this. He asked one question, and it wasn't that a question I need to ask, but just answer. And I was like, no, I've never experienced that. And I think the group was kind of like taken aback. And it was just, and I explained why that was, but it was just a beautiful moment between men. And what it did was, I think, because, I let my guard down some, of course you let your guard down, and so did they. We could all just kind of put our stuff on the table and be vulnerable and talk at a place where we really do want answers. And sometimes you just don't know, you need help with something, but where do you go? Who do you talk to and not feel insecure? Because this is something I wanted to talk about as well, Wayne, because it came up about men being insecure. Because a lot of us, honestly, we're very insecure people. We put on like we're secure. We do things like we're secure. We move in such a way, but underneath all of this stuff, very insecure men.
Absolutely, we are. But I think we were able to get through to one another that night because we lowered that insecurity, because again, you're in a safe place. It felt like a safe place. And the interesting part, you had just met them. I think that was just the second time you had got together. They were friends of mine, and I asked you to come and join in this friendship. And from there, we became, just brothers, all members of Kappa Alpha Psi, but beyond that, because there are even some Kappas I get along with and some I don't. But I think that was because of the aura that each of us were putting out on that night. Really, you're in a safe space. It's okay. First of all, we wanted to be there. We weren't forced to be there. And we even talked about sometimes you got to persevere. And one of the guys traveled quite a distance. I had a long day. And so when we have these other things going on, we always make time for things we want to do. I mean, all of us have the same amount of hours, but I always believe that. It's what do I want to do? And that's what I'll go do. And each of us made time to do that I think it was a Friday night. It was a Friday night when it's easy to say, I'm not trying to go out. I'm tired after a long week. But we pressed through because we realized that was going to be a place that we were actually going to get something out of it and enjoy it and have fellowship together. So that was, even if we have those insecurities in that moment, I think we put it aside and was able just to relax here. And I think sometimes our insecurities are even more profound when you are in environments of people who don't give you that, who you think are challenging you, think are really just out to get you or judging you, even worse. And so weren't judging each other. And so I can just feel, I can breathe and I can say what I want to say. But that is, I think, a kind of a unique environment. So a lot of the other times in our day, especially at work, it may not be the same way. It just may not be. And so we are carrying that all the time. We are aware that some of us are aware of it, and sometimes we aren't. It just happens and we act out because of those insecurities, which is also rooted in fear. Really, that's the root of all that to me. Yeah. So it's good to have, bottom line is, when you can have other guys that you can gather with who help you get over that insecurity without even thinking about it. It just feels natural and soft in a good way, even though we're men. Then you walk into it, you lean into it.
No, you're right, man. I mean, it felt so easy. It wasn't a forced thing, like you said. It wasn't a difficult thing. And although I had met Rich once before, but we hadn't hung out before. And then that was my second time meeting Butch, because Butch was at your house and we had all met. I mean, just the four of us coming together, it was so organic and so such a beautiful experience. And this is what I want men to get out of this, is that you can have such beautiful and great, meaningful relationships with other men who will prop you up, who will tell you when you're right. They'll tell you when you're wrong, and they'll help you as well. Like, again, like I said, you know, with that whole bonding process or that bonding time we spent together, I think each one of us got something out. It was four of us there, but each one of us got something out of it, Wayne. Like, when I sat back and I watched and I listened, and when I got home and I just kind of, you know, decompressed a little bit and I just thought over our time together, it made me say to myself, I can't wait for us to get back together again to do this, which I know we're going to do, because in our conversation, two things came up, and I don't want to mention them here, but two things came up that's going to pull us back together, that's going to put us on a trajectory that none of us knew about before that night.
Right. But you know what? The interesting part, you're right, we did, but we are all similar personalities. And so you have, I'm sure, been in rooms where you can tell there's sort of a mismatch, although there's room for everyone. But we were able to do that because each of us are kind of driven, personality types, but we can recognize recognizes game kind of thing. And I think that's what was happening too. So there was a respect built in. Each of us saw each other not only as a brother, but someone who's kind of, you know, cool and is well read and is, you know, been around the block a few times as well. And so we had that respect built in, not just the corporate, also a little bit of, you know, the neighborhood. We talked about where we're all from, all been married for a long time. And so that was that. But I have also been a part of these group dynamics. And that's where I think as a man, you got to think about, what groups do I belong in? Where can I thrive? Where's my tribe? When you can tell someone's not exactly, can't find their way in. Like some guys need an assist, and some guys will take the shot, literally, even in conversations. You almost got to set them up. You got to bring them into it. I think all of us is like, I can take a shot, so I'm just waiting to get my shot so I can handle it. And I can also listen to you and be responsive and then still take my shot. If you had another person in that group, and I try to pay attention to this when I'm in groups of men, I'll try to, if I see somebody who's standing on the side, can't take a shot, I might try to bring them in. Like, I'll ask them a question, very cognizant. Well, what do you think, you know, such and such? Because you can see they're trying to find their way in. And I just think that's uncomfortable, because, so therefore, I believe when we get together, one of the things you should do is at least somebody be conscious enough to understand, we have a group here. This is good. Let me not try to dominate, but let me also try to figure out how I can bring everyone into this. And I just think that was happening too. We were curious about each other's opinions. And so that made for a much better evening. It's just fun because sometimes we go out and you come back, it's like, man, that was draining. Right? I'm sure you've been out with guys. It can be, that was draining.
Yeah, because it's competition, right? And that was the one thing I was going to say. Like, you put that so beautifully. Like, it was no competition. There are no egos. And I mean, honestly, if all of us could have done that, right? We all could have been been on this grandstand or there, whatever the case is. All of us at this point in our lives have a good number of things going on in our respective lives and who we are in our careers and all this other kind of stuff. But that wasn't the thing or the purpose of why we were there. We were just there as men
Right.
coming together to have a good time. In fact, we had said that, pretty much leaving your home when we had the invite and we did the get together, is that we wanted to just hang out and get together to know one another. And that's exactly what we did. It was an easy thing. It was just Wayne, I'm overwhelmed with that because I love hosting people. And it was a beautiful thing to host you guys, host my brothers there. We're all, again, members of Kappa. And we all know that, well, I'll just share this one thing. If you're a member of Kappa, it's expected that you be hospitable, especially if it's in your town, in your house, in your chapter, whatever the case is. So for me, it meant a great deal to have you there and to be able to offer you and give you my very best of what I had and to just have these conversations
Yes,
about
yes, yes.
whatever we wanted to talk about. It was such a beautiful thing. And that's the part of the bond that I want to share. I mean, this bonding process with men, because not every man gets that, Wayne. And it's when you have that, I really do. And I'm going to tell you this, man, I love you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate those experiences even more because I'm hearing more men talk about they don't have someone, Wayne, that they could pick up the phone like you and I do, could just randomly pick up the phone and have a conversation. We could talk for hours, right? I know a lot of men, I'm learning this because it's foreign to me, but I'm understanding it now. They just don't have that.
They don't. They really don't. There's a loneliness in here. Actually, I was listening to NPR just yesterday in the car. I was headed somewhere, and they were talking about this idea of loneliness. Now, there's solitude when you intentionally want to be by yourself, meditation and other things. But then there's a genuine loneliness in our society right now, which is really hurtful and harmful to our health systems as well. And so I am grateful that I have groups of friends that I can really just be with and be able to really feel that camaraderie and they hold me accountable in ways. And so one of the things I've been trying to do, being intentional about, is having different generations of friends too. So being a member of Alpha Psi allows me to hang out with some of the younger guys. Otherwise, it would be a little weird, but we're all brothers. So I can hang out with them, even though they may be younger. Some as young as my son's age, but some a little bit older. So I love that because then you can have these multi-generational relationships where you can actually give and get in different areas and different phases of your life. And one of the things that I really enjoy now that I'm in my 50s is having an opportunity to talk to guys and also have relationships with guys in their 30s and 40s who are just, a few years behind me. Maybe I can benefit them. Maybe I can offer them some words of wisdom. And then I have friends who are 70, and so they are a few years ahead of me. And so the conversations can be different. Like one of my really, really good friends is 10 years older than me, but it's great. Yep. I think it's great for both of us, but it's surely great for me. I will say that because I can ask him questions about those 10 years that are coming and also even today. And so again, very intentional about, first of all, wanting relationships because you realize they work for you. And then what are you going to do to actually maintain those relationships? And then having different relationships. And so even in different groups, it's really helpful because I think it helps you maintain awareness and compassion for where people are in their lives. And so I've been very, very, and I will continue to be intentional about my circle of friends.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make. I'm going to do a show. It's actually going to be done in early January with Brother Linwood. I think you know Smitty. Do you know Smitty?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you probably know who he is, Linwood Smith. But we're going to do a show. He and I were talking. He's about 10 years older than actually, he's about 14 years older. And we were talking. This was our first conversation he and I had. We talked for about 3 hours. And he was teaching me about Kappa, but he was telling me stories of old. And I said to him, man, every man needs an OG in his life.
That's
and
right.
So from that, we're going to do a show titled "Every Man Needs an OG in His Life," and we're going to do that next month. But you're absolutely right. Some of my friends are much older than I am. In fact, I've never had friends, or I've had very few friends who were exactly my age. Most of my friends are probably 4 or 5 to as much as 10 and 15 years older than me because I've always wanted to be around men who could teach me something. And not just that, I'm the oldest child, so I don't have an older sibling. So I've always enjoyed having another man, especially as a sibling, like somebody I could talk to, somebody I could relate to. Because I was like, man, as the older sibling, everybody always comes to you. But when you're the older sibling, who do you go to?
That's
Who do
right.
you look to besides your parent or maybe a cousin? If you don't have any friends, that makes that extremely difficult. And I want to, speaking of that, I want to get into this other part of this, man, where I've been reading articles about why bonding time is essential for men. And part of that has to do with the learning process. And especially, let's talk about, in terms of health, in terms of finance, in terms of the other things. When we were together, again, this is what I was saying about just the whole learning of things and learning from other brothers, because we don't know everything. We might know a lot about a lot of things, but we don't know everything. And that's something that you can learn from other brothers. And I'm saying this to you specifically, Wayne, because I remember you and I had a conversation. And I told you this was some months ago, and I said, man, Wayne, this is really bothering me, right? I had this issue with this other person, and I was just, man, I was just like, I'm not trying to hear this, Wayne. And you just said to me, you just literally said to me, you said, Mike, just at least listen. Like, think about it this way. And I was like, Wayne, I don't have that capacity. And as you were talking to me, I could really just honestly feel the Holy Spirit saying to me, Mike, just listen. Just really listen. And I appreciate that because I had somebody else, another male figure I could bounce that off of, because I think I don't think, I know you did. You understood how I felt, because, and most men don't talk about this. And this is that mental space, that sensitive space about how our feelings as men get hurt as well. I don't think we often talk about the fact that we have feelings. And a lot of times, to me, as I look at it, our feelings run extremely deep. As a matter of fact, when our feelings get hurt, most of us, I'll say this, I'm generalizing here, as men, we'll walk away from a situation because our feelings are being hurt that bad. And we
Right.
don't oftentimes know how to process that. We don't oftentimes know how to deal with that. We don't oftentimes know what to do with that when your feelings are hurt that bad. And I'll say this, Wayne, when you have a friend, I mean a male friend, and most of the men in here will understand when I say this, you have a male friend that does something to you that hurts your feelings, that goes against the grain, cuts deep. That's a hurtful feeling, man. That's like I can't compare it to my wife or to my kids, but when somebody is as close to you like a brother that knows a lot about you, they've grown up with you per se, they're just in your space. I don't even really know how to explain this for the most part, but they're extremely close to you and they do something that's hurtful. It's hard to bounce
It
back
is.
from something like that. Like I'm still processing it, but I thank God I had you to talk to, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Wayne. Up until the point I had spoken, and I know you know this because I said it to you, I voiced it to you. I'm like, man, I don't want to say the words I said, but I was like, I'm done.
You
I'm
were.
done.
I
But you were
remember that
like,
conversation. I
yeah,
remember
I
that
was done. And you
conversation.
were like, no, Mike, let me talk to you about this. But anyway, you go ahead because I want the audience to know.
Well, let me expand on what you were saying. I remember that conversation, and one of the things I asked you to consider is something in that person's life must have went terribly wrong for them to betray you like that. And I was trying
Yep,
to get you to consider what they may have went through because they knew they were wrong. They admitted to being wrong, did it anyway. And sometimes we do things that we know are wrong but can't control ourselves. And so, how about having some grace for that person? I think that's what we were talking about. Give that
yep,
person some grace. And so this is
yep.
not some Johnny come lately. This is somebody I've known for a long time. And you knew him to be loyal up until that moment. And so someone who has been loyal up to that moment, as we start thinking about all the friends we interact with, those are the people who sometimes things happen in their lives. Frankly, and one reason I was able to tell you that, because I had a really good friend and we are still friends to this day, and I've known him for a long, long time. He and I got into it one time over something I didn't think that I had anything to do with. But he got terribly mad, and I figured something must have happened because we don't have this kind of relationship, and called me all kind of MFs and everything. But I
Mm,
thought to myself, at this point, I can either say, okay, well, I guess the friendship is over, or I can say, you know what, something was that was unusual. Something was driving him to say those things to me. And yes, it did hurt, but I'm not going to allow it to destroy a relationship with this person I've known for 30 plus something years or longer. And so I guess in that moment, I was saying, let's look behind. Because now we're talking about building bonds with men, having kind of relationship you can share. Let's think about what might be happening to them that are driving their actions, especially if they're doing something out of character. This is not who they've shown me to be. He's still my brother. He's going through something. So now where can we step in as brothers? What does a friend do? A friend can turn away, or the friend can pivot back and say, you know what? I know this is not you. This is not you. Oh, you go call me another name. It's still not you. I don't know this to be you. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to come back, and I'm not going to give up on you. Because the sad part is, if something happens to you or them shortly thereafter or anytime after, you're going to wish that you had repaired that relationship with someone. Now, the new people that come in your life, they've shown you who they are. They are who they are. It's up to you, I think, to kind of, pivot away from those folks. But someone who's been loyal for a long period of time, the question has to be, what happened to them? And can you drop your ego so much to get rid of the fact that they just cut you out? They said something bad about you. They talked about you, maybe, but that wasn't them. And so bury that emotion you have, bury your own ego, and figure out how it can help my brother. Yeah. And I think that's important.
No, that's very important. So I'll be honest with you. I'll be very transparent. And you probably realize this at that moment. I didn't have the capacity for that.
I could tell.
Yeah, I didn't. I did not have the capacity for that because I had never had someone, Wayne, talk to me the way that you did, which is, again, the reason I had come to you. And again, just so we're all on the same page here, this happens to be, again, it's a part of that whole bonding process. Yes. Where you're being vulnerable and you're opening up to someone else to let them know, man, well, listen, as strong as I am, I have some parts of me, man, that are also vulnerable as well. Right.
That's how you create real friendships, I think. If there's not a certain level of transparency, you don't really have a strong friendship.
Exactly. And I agree with that 100%. And to that point, but you got to know who you can be vulnerable with, of course, right? We don't want to be vulnerable telling everybody all these different things, but yeah. In that moment, I shared that with you specifically because I was like, I know Wayne, of all the friends I have, this is the person I need to go to with this, because I got some friends, of course, they would be like, man, what's in the way I thought. They was like, did what? Man,
right. Leading you on. Yeah, just guessing at that point. I know.
Hold on, yours. And I knew you wouldn't give me that kind of advice. You would look at it from the perspective, a godly perspective. One, I have most of my friends are all saved and Christian, but you just gave me some good, godly, big brotherly advice. Like, think about it this way, as opposed to just thinking about it that way. And again, this is one of the reasons why these bonding sessions or these bonding times are important, especially when you have great people in your life like this, where you can go to them not knowing everything and saying, hey, man, look, in a transparent moment, I'm hurt. Because I was genuinely hurt, man. I'm like, I even told you, I said, I would leave. I felt so comfortable with him. I would leave my wallet, my money. I walk away from all the stuff. And that work, I would trust this dude with my family. And I'm like, man, when you are that close to someone and then they do that to you, it just, when I say, man, I don't think I've been thrown through a loop like that in a long time. I can't even, in my mind, I'm trying to remember when was the last time something like that happened, because only the closest people in your life can hurt you like that.
That's right.
Right. And that comes with that level of vulnerability. And I understand that. I understand it comes with that. But at that particular moment, that crushed me. That just literally crushed me.
Well, that's why I felt like I should give you a different perspective, because first of all, I was listening to you. Mm-hmm. As you were talking, and I would start to not only listen, I could actually feel the pain that was there. And so in that moment, I think the other thing, the responsible thing to do is to really help them to understand what they might already know. And not just go on, because it's really easy just to go along with you. Yeah, you're right. That was terrible. We do that sometimes. And let's say you didn't give a lot of background, you just gave me the details. I might have said the same thing, but you start giving the background, you feel comfortable, you're giving the background. I think we were walking when we were talking about this too.
We were walking. It was our bonding time. It was we got
right. So we had to do both. We walked a long way, I think over 7 miles that day.
Because we walked more than that, but we walked
more than that. Okay.
Like 18 or 20 miles.
It was longer than I anticipated when we were going to walk from the beginning. I thought we could do about 5. So yes, it was more than 5. But we were able to walk it out.
Yeah.
And talk it out. Yeah, really just walk it out and talk it out. So I think that might have also contributed to a more free flowing conversation because we weren't hunkered down at the table and in a state of maybe comatose if we had just finished eating, although you can have good conversations there too, or in a drunken state or whatever, although we don't really drink. But I'm just saying, I think the point I'm making is I think sometimes the environment, what you may be doing while you're having that conversation can also bring value. And so I think we can, especially where you can walk and talk with another guy. How cool is that? If you think about it, combining things that are, and then I felt like we had privacy because we were just on the path. Wasn't worried about anybody listening. Wasn't worried if you were at the house or at somewhere else, someone might come in or whatever. On even where, so you're moving, we're talking, we're processing, we're challenging each other. We're competing to keep up with each other or we're walking. So that just made for a really special moment, which has done nothing more than help to seal our relationship as it continues to. Sometimes I agree with you. It's only been 3 years and it's crazy. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that in a really good way that we've been friends in a really good way. Yeah. I can't imagine you not being a part of my life at this point.
Man, I feel the same way. And it's funny because I know I usually can tell when somebody's going to be a part of my life when my wife starts asking about them. Because my wife asks about you. She asks about you and Kelly all the time. She's like, how was Wayne doing? You talked to Wayne. When was the last time? I already know when my wife is that bought in, I'm like, yeah, God, you just sent me one. Because she's very particular about who I have in my life and around me. Because she's like, I don't need you to be distracted. I need you to be focused. And if you're going to have males in your life or male friends in your life, I want to vet them as well. Not that she could stop me from having you as a friend, but she wants to vet them as well to know that, guess what? They have my husband's best interests at heart. And I know Kelly is that way about you as well.
He is the same, because she'll tell me because it benefits us, our marriage, right? Because there are certain things that I'm going to talk to my guy friends about, and I might talk to her about it as well, because I really don't hold any secrets from her at all. But there's different perspectives and different ideas. And she may see me, like when I came back from a couple of weeks ago, when we hung out a little bit, she could tell I was in a better mood when I got back than when I left, that kind of thing. So that ultimately helps your marriage. And so what we're saying really is having the bonding time with other guys can improve other aspects of your life, bring a certain level of joy and happiness. It may have some residual effect to carry back to how you are as a dad, back to you are as a husband. Because remember, when we started off this thing, I was like, first of all, just hanging out with a bunch of guys allows you to remove some of the roles you have. Don't have to think like a husband right in this moment when I'm talking to you. Don't have to think like a dad. Don't have to act like a dad. I can be more closer to probably who I am. Frankly, although I've been a husband and a father for a long, long time, but I'm still at my core, I'm a man from DC.
Well, we can talk a lot about that. And I'm gonna say this, Wayne, man, you really I know that this was ordained because you just said something, and I was actually gonna go this way as well. These bonding times or these bonding moments, they actually help with your mental capacity and how you feel and all these different kinds of things. And most men don't realize that most men, I think we realize we carry a lot of stress. We carry a lot of things, and this is not a black or white thing, but I'm gotta mention this here, especially as black men. We carry a lot on us. There's a lot of things that we're responsible for, whether it be our wives, our families, our communities, our jobs, all these other things that we have. And we don't realize sometimes the pressure and the stress that we're under until we're sitting in a doctor's office or until we're undergoing surgery or, you've just had a massive heart attack or you've just had a stroke or all these different things add to all of who you are because you don't have an outlet. You don't have someone that you bonded with in these bonding times like we do. I'm very, for a second, I am very intentional, Wayne. When I take people on walks with me, I'm purposely trying to get to know you better. I'm purposely trying to bring you into my space. I'm purposely trying to understand more about you because I understand there's a lot to you that can help me and add to my life, add to my children, add to my wife, I guess my overall life and perspective of life. And so I'm very intentional about that and having you talk and listen to you and understand and gain wisdom. And so it helps me. But I also understand too, it brings down all this anxiety.
That's
All
right.
this stress. Because if I had not talked to you, Wayne, this stuff would have just been sitting on me. And
Right.
one of the things about the bonding time that it does, it's a release, right? And to be able to have that kind of release with another man and get that off of you, and like you said, you can see that on me, and you just help me. I'm the one used to being to the other side of it, where I'm listening, where somebody's actually kind of dumping on me. I get a lot of that. I don't know if it's because I, type of person I am or whatever, but I'm also in ministry, so that's also probably another reason. And in a later date, in a later show, I'm going to talk about why ministers go off and do crazy stuff because they don't have Wayne, somebody to bond with and talk to.
Right. That's right.
Right?
That's
They do crazy stuff. I mean, like really crazy stuff, and we see him in the news and all this. And you're like, how could he do that as a minister? I can tell you why. Because he don't have anybody to talk to. He has no one that he could bond with to share and say, man, I'm feeling all of this stuff, even if it is bad. Right? I'm feeling all of this, but I don't have a place to put it. I don't know who to talk to about it. And if I do, is it going to get out to the rest of the world? Is it going to mess with my career? Is it going to interrupt what I got going here, there, and everywhere?
Yeah, the challenge is in some cases it depends on who your friends are. And so we got to find a circle of friends who can start with trust. One of the things that I try to make sure I always do, I do not spread anybody's business. That's another reason why I do think that people can talk to me, because no one's ever going to say, well, Wayne said this about you, Wayne, because I don't get involved in that stuff. I don't do that at all. I'm not going to talk about things with outside. Like if you and I have a conversation, I'm generally not sharing. You don't even have to say, well, this is between me and you. I kind of start with that for most of the friends that I have. And so that's the starting point. Unless you specifically tell me to tell somebody, I'm probably not. Sometimes I may ask, well, can I pray for you about that or what's going on? And that's why I think it's important sometimes to understand what people are going through for that reason, not to spread it. And so therefore, as a man, sometimes we may be concerned that they might. And so what I'm saying is that I might want to share, but maybe I don't have a safe place to share. And that creates a set of challenges for folks, especially if you're not very intentional about who they are, who your friends are. And I think that just having that is so critical and so important to your overall health.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, man. Like I said, the more, and I'm learning to do this more as I get older, to not hold on to so many things, right? Because it's the little things incrementally that kill you. As we get older, especially as men, and this podcast, and I should have said this earlier on, is really dedicated to men who are 50 plus. And I say that because we face some different challenges and unique challenges as we get older. And I think just at 50, having friends and having this bonding time, it helps with a lot of those things. It cuts down and reduces the amount of stress that you have in your life. It helps you to understand that you don't have to go the whole way by yourself, right? I understand now that there's some things I don't have to do alone. I can call you up and say, Wayne, man, I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure about it. I need some help with it. Could you come along and partner with me on this thing? Because I need your particular expertise, and I know you're the person to do it. Like we got a couple of things that are coming up where it's not just you and I, but it's some other folks as well. And I'm glad to have other people be with me so I can bounce ideas off that, I don't have to be 100% responsible for everything that's going on, because even that sometimes is a challenge and a burden. Although I want to do it, it still doesn't make it any less pressure or stress on me. But just having other brothers that I can interact with, have fun with while I'm doing this, and grow and benefit them in some certain way is a absolutely beautiful thing.
I agree. And also the idea in your 50s, you're starting to sense your own mortality. You start to think about it, and then you have good friends who actually don't make it. And so you are having people around you pass away who are from your generation. So we will take a moment just to recognize Brother John Cotton.
Absolutely.
Who recently passed away on Christmas Eve. I think he was 61 and just retired from a long career and successful career in the federal government, and passed away not too much longer after that. Good guy. I've known him since 1987. And a good brother in the community of Washington, D.C., gave back everything he had in the spirit of just community and being a strong member of Kappa Alpha Psi as well. So now he's gone on to the Golden Shores. But the point is, though, when you're this age, you are also losing guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps to have other guys you can surround yourself to really process it, because we're all thinking,
Yep.
that could have been me, or am I doing the right thing? Am I this? Let me take advantage. Let me live every day and to its fullest. And I do believe it's even more important to have stronger friends as you get older, because at that point, like right, you really do need that, because you're starting to think about your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's helpful to have someone else help you get that perspective. And it's also really cool. I love the fact that you and I have just known each other for 3 years. We've become really strong friends. But I'm also fortunate and blessed to have friends I've known for a long time, some back in high school and even before high school, back to junior high. You probably do too.
Yep.
And so going back to those multi-generational friends and people from different places and everything, and most of those guys, I'm sure you feel the same, where you can call and not miss a beat. And they know you. They knew you from way before you was a husband and before you were a dad and all that kind of things too. And we can celebrate each other as well, that we've all achieved a type of success we were hoping for. And we've become our ancestors' wildest dreams in many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have said any better. That is 100%, the truth. And again, this idea of bonding, I'm praying, I'm hoping that men see us, Wayne, and understand that it's not just a good thing, but it's a needed thing.
Yeah.
And if they don't have it in their lives, that they will begin to reach out to other brothers who they believe might be good brothers to be in kinship with, to be friends with, and to be able to do all these other things with. I mean, just to go out and hang out for a little while and, do whatever it is we want to do, whether it's taking a walk, whether, we're sitting down having a meal, whatever the case is, just to spend that quality time together, just talking, just being heard, just being seen. Sometimes as a man, it's so much going on. You just like, man, I'm all over the place, and I just don't know. I'm at a loss. We were talking, and you had to say this at the dinner party. We aren't going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And I could tell, man, that was just it did something to you, right? It does something to you, right?
Right.
And so for me, I'm not necessarily bothered by those kinds of things that much. But as you did for me, I just wanted to make sure I'd be there for you to be like, man, listen, you don't have to take all that stuff in and process it that way, man. If you just want to hang out and get away and not talk about none of that stuff and do something else, let's just go do that, man. Our lives aren't centered around that. There's much, 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 much more to us than just that.
Mindset change. I was thinking about guys who don't have the built-in community. You and I are fortunate. We're both in the greatest fraternity in the world.
Yep.
We're also Christians, so you have your church. Typically, I remember once upon a time, some of my friends at that moment were folks whose children were also in Little League sports. I'm sure you went through that season as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to find that community is what I'm saying. And so you can actually have a friends who are within that community at some point. And so we got to have community. I really believe a community is something that God had in store for us and makes us stronger. Just like a single coal will go out, flame out, but a bunch of coals together will stay ignited and spread and be strong and really warm and inviting. And so you gotta figure that out. And so I'm planning to continue to nurture my friends. One of the things that I also try to do, I'm sure I've never talked to you about this, for the friends that really just come to my heart all the time, that were really close and have a set of friends, I put everybody's name down and I often pray for them. And think about it, I have like a list of here are the guys that I want to pray for, and I just pray for them in clusters or one at a time, because I just think that's important. And I added you to my prayer list about a year ago, so early.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, some of the guys on my prayer list, and most of them probably don't even know they're on my prayer list, but they've been there for a while, and it's important. And then the other thing, when I think about certain guys, people in general, but especially guys, if I'm in a car traveling somewhere, I always try to use that time. So hopefully it's not too noisy, but to use that time to maybe to check in and that commute, because you're just driving along, and most of us, and I kind of keep a list of, okay, here's the guys I want to check in every once in a while and just call them. I'm just calling, because the other thing is so cool, and you and I have done this, where you just call that person and say, yo, what's up? How you doing? Just checking in on you. Don't want nothing. It's not urgent. Like sometimes if you don't pick up, I'll say it's not urgent. Just seeing how you're doing.
Yep.
And if someone, especially at our age and what we're doing in our lives now, to call you just to check in, not want anything, that's also a blessing. Super duper blessing.
This is why, man, I promise you I love you because you've called me a few times. You didn't know, man. I was having, like, you had that rough day. I had some rough days. And you called, you say, hey, man, I was just thinking about you. And I just want to
Right.
make sure you're okay. And we don't oftentimes, and let me say this, thank you, if I hadn't said it, because it meant the world to me because I was going through something. I'm just like, man, this is one of them days. This is just one of them days, man. I don't really want to share this with my wife because I don't want to put this on her. I don't want to tell my kids about it, this, that, and the other. So I'm just going to suck it up. I'm just going to suck this up. And I'm going to take it to the grave with me. But then when somebody calls you and says, man, I've been praying for you, man, especially as a person who is a prayer warrior himself, who is connected to God, and have somebody say, I'm praying for you. I know in that instant, God has already answered the prayer.
Yeah.
That's a prayer that's answered because you've already called and said you were praying for me. And so that just changes my whole trajectory. It's not that the situation changed, but my mindset did. My heart felt a little lighter. I wasn't as burdened as I once felt before that call. And that's something that as men, we should probably, Wayne, take up. That's a great thing that you do. And because you said, I'm actually going to do it myself, put together a prayer list of men that I pray for, because I know getting that call, what it did for me. I sometimes do it for others. I don't think I do it as much as you do. So I'm going to make that also a point to just say, let me just pick up the phone and call them and just say, hey, man, even if you don't pick up, just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. I don't know what's going on, and I'm praying for you, and I'm praying everything as well. But just in case it ain't well, I'm going to send up this little short prayer for you, and I'm believing God is going to hear this and is going to move in your situation. And again, this is what happens as a result of becoming friends or entering into a friendship because of bonding time. But again, you can't get this if you're not in a friendship with somebody. You will miss all of these things. And even in that friendship requires that you be intentional, meaning that you spend time with someone, getting to know them, not just them getting to know you. And it's me putting out as much as you're putting out. I don't have to be 100% every single time. It don't work like that. It's just that we need to be putting out a weighty amount of energy into the relationship, right? And I just believe that we have done it. And I'm very intentional about doing that with my friends. Like you said, when, I do think about mortality now. As of last Saturday, I mean, I think about it, but this past Saturday, when you called me and told me about our friend brother John, who had passed on, although I didn't know him that well, I knew him because we spoke. And every time I saw him, he was always upbeat. He was always energetic. He was always encouraging. And let me tell you something, man. I didn't know him that well. He was a huge supporter of mine, man. He would just drop me those like, man, I'm proud of you. And I'm like, man, it's amazing to have somebody do that. And we didn't really know each other that well because I was his frat brother. He's my frat brother. That was all that was needed, right?
That's right.
It was just crazy. I say all that because, again, man, we have to be intentional about these relationships. Be intentional about, who you want in your life. And if you're going to have them in your life, do things to let them know that they mean something to you. Otherwise, what's the point?
What's the point? And the point is who we're helping along the way. Because every time I get involved with someone, obviously I'm looking to get stronger, but I'm also very intentional about, well, maybe there's something I can do to help. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a different perspective, a different thing, get together. And because that's what really matters, and that what makes the world go round, I believe, is part of love. And there's a brotherly love that's really important. I think that we got to fan it. We got to fan it. And love is an action word, it's a verb, so to speak. And so what are you going to do? What does it look like? Mm-hmm. And are you willing to really do that? Because it's just the right thing to do for no other reason. It's just the right thing to do. They're going to get something out of it. You can help someone else. And I do believe our brother John Cotton led with that. Great example of that. And just one of the salt of the earth guys who was really involved and gave back over and over again. And, You know, I was talking to someone earlier today about why it seems like sometimes God knows better than I know. He always, not sometimes, knows better than us, but sometimes why some of the good people just leave
Mm.
so soon. And that's probably another conversation for another day. But I tell you, when I first found out about him, it was just a point of sadness where I just felt like I couldn't breathe. I
Mm.
literally felt like I was having trouble breathing for moments, just trying to get it together, just because he was that kind of a guy. And so
Mm-hmm.
we lift him up. We pray for him and his family for sure. But
Yeah.
that's how we should all want to be, I guess, pivoting
Mm-hmm.
back to this conversation. Can we be that kind of person for someone else? Can we be unselfish with some of the stuff that we're doing? Can we give some of our quality time to someone else, which in itself is a love language, quality
Yep.
time for
Mm-hmm.
some of us. And so we got to be able to do that. And so I just think it's important, and I don't mind, especially when it's guys like you who are just cool to be around. And like you said, our families clicked and made it helpful. And so it was a joy to introduce you to two of my friends, and now the two of your friends too.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's something about a male friendship that is altogether just different. And when you have genuine friends, like it makes the world go around, man. It makes the difference in your life. Life is a lot easier. Again, as a 50-plus-year-old man, having these friends, and again having you as a friend, it's everything, man. It's a lot of how I can get through situations is because I have good friends who I can lean to, I can talk to, I can glean from, because I sometimes just don't have all the knowledge, or the strength or the wherewithal in myself. I glean that from other men, and I'm not ashamed to say that because that's what it takes. And people ask me, I tell them all the time, it's like the reason that I am the way that I am, or I've gotten to places that I've gotten, is because other men have let me stand on their shoulders to let me look where they couldn't look. They let me see what they couldn't see. They let me enjoy these things that they themselves couldn't enjoy, but they knew that I would get it or obtain it and come back and share it with them. And so, excuse me, I'm grateful to them for that. And I try to tell them that all the time because I want them to know, if you see me succeeding, you see us succeeding because we're connected in that way. I'm not the type of dude or friend that when I go somewhere, if I'm out in the street, I see you and I look past you like I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
yeah, yeah. Well, I
that's
remember
not
one
the
of
type of dude.
that's because you're friendly. I mean, I remember one of the first conversations we had. We were talking about a similar topic on this. Well, the first thing he's like, "Well, if you want friends, you got to be friendly."
That's right.
Simply put, easy to say, and you always came across that way as well. And I had this spirit of hospitality from the very beginning. It's like the first time I came to your shop, it just felt warm because you were friendly and you were warm and you were inviting and didn't feel rushed and all those things. Again, so now you are creating an environment for friendship. It's like the soil for friendship because first of all, I think you valued it, understood it, and you're just a good person, and so that came across right away. And so, how can we do that? How can we do that in other places? And so I appreciate you, brother, for that because you made it easy to be your friend.
I appreciate you, man, for saying that. And I'm gonna shout my dad out because Mike Johnson Sr., he's the one that taught me that, man. I remember two specific things in my life that my dad did for me, and that was one of them. He taught me how to be hospitable,
Yeah.
if nothing else. And his home is one of the most welcoming homes. When you're around my dad, man, there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing he won't do for you, man. He opens up his whole entire self to you. Like everything is yours if you come into his space. And I learned that from him. I've really learned how to do that. But I actually prayed for that too, Wayne. I asked God to give me that kind of spirit because I could see when people come around my father, I still can see it. And you still haven't been around my dad yet, but I definitely have to have you because he just asked about you and your uncle the other day when I spoke with him. And he told me that. And I said, God, there are two things in my life that I really want. I want to learn how to do that. But when you give me a home, I want my home to be as opening and as welcoming as his is. So when you walk in, you just automatically feel something. And that something is a spirit of love and of peace, right? And I said, God, give me that. Please give me that. And then also, if you allow me to own a business, a storefront, I want that same spirit to reside in that space as well. So that when every single person walks through those doors, they feel that spirit of love and that energy when they come through. And if they aren't themselves that kind of person, God don't let them come through these doors.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think Butch and Rich experienced that right away because that was their first time there.
Yeah, I hope
Right
so.
away. I'm sure they did. That's why we would have such great conversations because again, they were comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's great. What a time. What a
I
shop. Well,
know, right?
you have been blessed. Yeah, you have. I've never met your dad. Looking forward to the day of meeting him. But I can tell he's done a good job with you, and I'm sure you and Stephanie are doing a great job with your daughters and your son-in-law and everything else. And so you're passing that all down.
Trying, man. Trying. Listen, we got to get out of here. We're wrapping it up. But before I go, Wayne, could you just drop a bit of wisdom on us? And I normally don't do this, and I don't even know why it's never occurred to me to do it before. But I definitely want to lift up a prayer for men. I want to lift up a prayer for this time of bonding and help men come together and then be able to experience that type of bonding that we have certainly come to experience.
Yes. So you want me to pray? Is that what you're asking? You said
I
a word
do,
of
but I
wisdom.
also want you to leave, one bit of wisdom with us.
One
before
bit
we
of
get out.
wisdom. Oh, that's scary. Trying to one bit of wisdom. I would just say, I think I said while we're talking, just look for the opportunity to sharpen someone else. The iron sharpen iron, right from the Bible, spiritual. I think about that often. And so that says that this is a good thing when someone else is strong. I can be around another strong brother because they're going to make me stronger. And so that iron sharpen iron, just that visual,
Yep.
it's a sign of strength, and it always will be. So that's what I would say.
Got it. And then just give us a short prayer, man. We can get on up out of here.
So, Father, we bless you. We worship you. We honor you. We're thankful for the opportunity we had to share this evening. Lord, to speak to one another, but also to many men and anyone else who might be listening. May this be a blessing. May people find their community so they can move in love. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. Man, Wayne, thank you so much. Love you, man. Hold on one second. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in on tonight. This is Mandatory Conversations with Mike Johnson. My special guest on today is my good friend and brother, Mr. Wayne Porter. Check us out next week. We will be back and we're going to continue the conversation. Leave me any type of comments you want to leave. Before you get out of here, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this message, please let us know you liked it. If you didn't, if it was something we may have missed, drop in the comments. We certainly want to try to attend to you and try to make the podcast a better place for men. Again, this is a safe place and a safe space, especially for those of you brothers who are 50 and above, man. We got to do something to help one another, and I'm going to do my part. You guys have a good one, and we are out of here. Peace.
Yo.